Well, I'd like to welcome everybody to this 8th iteration of the Lunar Surface Science Workshop series. My name is Jose Hurtado. I'm at the University of Texas at El Paso. My co-chair for today and tomorrow is Kelsey Young from Goddard Space Flight Center. And then we have 4 early career facilitators who will be helping us: Tess Caswell, Marie Henderson, Amanda Oswald, and Ferris Ward. So they'll be helping us with running the meeting, in particular the breakout groups that we'll have on both days. And I want to also recognize and thank the Lunar Surface Science Workshop Organizing Committee and also the help of Survey with the technical part of running this program. Next slide, please. So I actually want to hand it over to Sarah Noble real quick, who will talk a little bit about the Lunar Surface Science Workshop so far.
Thanks, Jose. I just wanted to take a second here to talk about the schedule, where we are with the workshop. We've been continuing to do these on a sort of monthly-ish cadence. You can see the previous sessions we've done. We are about to update the website, so the website link is there. In the next week or so, it will be updated to a more easy-to-navigate website. And I wanted to talk for a second about our upcoming sessions, particularly the next one. So this has been really fantastic for us from headquarters, getting all of this input from the community, but we realize that this is supposed to be a two-way conversation, and perhaps it's time for us to start talking again. And so our next update will be updates from headquarters. We'll sort of similar to the one that we did back in May, our very first one, when we gave you guys some updates. We've done a lot of work over the last year, and so we thought maybe we should share some of that with you guys. So looking forward to that. We aren't doing one in March because of LPSC, but there'll be plenty of lunar science to enjoy at LPSC. And beyond that, we are still working out topics and things. We do know that there will be the physical sciences, fundamental physics folks from BPS would like to do some later in the fall. But we're still, if you've got ideas for topics, please let us know. I think that maybe some topics will fall out of this workshop, and so we're working on what our upcoming topics are. But please mark April 29th down on your calendars for our updates from headquarters. I will turn it back over to Jose.
Great, thanks, Sarah. If I can get the next slide, please. Next slide, please. Great, thank you. So Sarah said this is the 8th of a series of workshops, each of which has touched on a different topic related to science on the moon, and in particular that which might be done with Artemis. So the theme of this workshop is structuring real-time science supportive Artemis crewed operations. The motivation for this workshop is the recognition that having scientists embedded with the flight control team during Apollo was very important for the success of that program. Those scientists, as we probably all well know, work closely with the flight control team before, during, and after the missions to formulate and also direct the science that was done on the lunar surface. And so for Artemis, NASA is very interested in taking those lessons learned, not only from Apollo, but from other exploration activities, to figure out how to do this best, the science support operation for Artemis. Next slide. So we have a number of sort of overarching questions that we hope to address during this meeting. And as you'll see, each of the breakouts that we've designed has sort of lower level or more detailed questions that we'll present to you. But the kind of questions we're asking are, what are previous crewed and robotic planetary surface exploration initiatives taught us about how to do science operations? What do we have left to learn? What sort of technologies are needed to enable the science team to do their work? For instance, what kind of hardware, software, physical space, and also what organizational structures for the science team are best suited for Artemis? So how many people? How are they selected? How do they communicate and relate to one another? All those sort of questions are fair game for this workshop, and we're really hoping to get everybody's considered opinions on all these things. Next slide. So the goals of this workshop, similarly to the others, is to share perspectives and lessons learned, in this case from Apollo, Mars exploration, analogs, and also current efforts in human spaceflight, including preparation for Artemis. NASA is looking for community input on the overarching questions I just talked about, as well as the detailed questions that we'll talk about a little bit later. Hopefully, we'll identify key focus areas for future workshops and other efforts, and there will be a summary report that will generate with the outcomes from this meeting that will be available for public comment and then referenced by the community later on. Next slide. So just real quick, some rules of engagement. I think we're all very used to online meetings at this point. Community participation is vital in this enterprise, so everyone is encouraged to engage. Please don't be shy. There is the chat where we'd like people to put their questions. To ask questions of presenters, please put your questions in that chat box, and also include in your question who it's directed to. We'll have question and answer sessions after each block of presentations, and the session chairs will help moderate that question and answer. We'll have recordings of the talks available on the Lunar Surface Science Workshop website, and the URL is given there on the slide. And then a couple other things. No apologies necessary for life interruptions during the workshop. You'll probably hear birds in the background when my audio is on. You know, we're all living in this alternate reality of online meetings, so I think everybody understands that. And then lastly, just a statement about sort of our behavior and our expected sort of ethics in this meeting. So if you have any issues or any questions regarding that, please contact one of the workshop organizers. Next slide, please. So our agenda, so it's a 2-day workshop. The first day is focused around lessons learned from previous exploration enterprises. We start with Apollo, but we also have some talks about Mars exploration, about ISS and shuttle, and also current Artemis preparations. The breakouts for today, I'll talk about in the next slide. For day 2, the session is organized around what we've learned and are learning from analogs, as well as the development and conceptualization of support tools that might be useful for real-time science support operations. And then there's another set of breakouts on day 2. Next slide, please. So the day 1 breakout sessions, the day 2 breakout sessions, the breakouts are really where we want to get the most feedback from everyone. So these we feel are very important for the outcome that we want to bring from this meeting. So on day 1, we have 2 breakouts. The first, which I will chair, focuses on historical lessons learned for those activities that are done in the run-up to a mission, so how to best prepare for a mission. Whereas the second breakout focuses on those activities that occurred during the mission. And you can see some of the leading questions there. Next slide. And then tomorrow, our 2 breakout sessions focus, one on infrastructure, meaning what are the physical space, the tools, all those sorts of sort of tangible things that are needed to support real-time science support operations. And the second breakout, which Kelsey will chair, focuses on architecture, meaning how is the whole science team organized? What kind of roles are there? How are the members interacting with one another? And those sorts of issues. So both of these I think are going to be very critical for the outcome of this meeting, and we really hope that you participate.